In the winter of 1638, deep within the Black Pine Mountains of northern Japan, an old samurai master asked his student a question that no sword technique could answer. Haruto, if 20 enemies surround you at once, which one do you strike first? The young warrior answered immediately. The strongest one, master. The old man slowly shook his head. Then the weakest one will kill you while your mind is distracted. Snow drifted through the mountain air. The dojo remained silent. Then, the master spoke once more. A warrior dies the moment his mind leaves the present. That single lesson became the foundation of an ancient discipline so powerful that many feared it more than the sword itself, not because it taught men how to fight, but because it taught them how to control the battlefield within their own minds. The samurai who mastered this discipline became calm in chaos, unshaken in fear, impossible to provoke, impossible to break. The ones who failed became prisoners of hesitation, and the terrifying truth was this: most warriors never lost because they were weak. They lost because their minds were divided. Their bodies stood in one place while their thoughts wandered through 10,000 fears. This was the secret Haruto would spend years trying to understand. A secret older than war itself. A secret the masters called Zanshin. Remaining awareness, perfect presence, the art of existing completely inside one single moment. And before this story ends, Haruto would discover that mastering the sword was easy. Mastering the mind was the true battle. But before we continue, if stories of ancient discipline, warrior philosophy, and timeless mastery speak to something deep inside you, then join this journey now. Subscribe, leave a comment saying presence, and walk the path of the old warriors with us. Chapter 1. The Boy Without Stillness. The year was 1638. The Tokugawa shogunate ruled Japan with iron silence. Wars had slowed across the land, but the spirit of war remained alive inside the mountain dojos where samurai were still forged through suffering. Far beyond the villages of Akita province stood a hidden training hall known as Kurotake Dojo, the Black Bamboo Hall. Few knew of its existence, even fewer survived its training. The dojo rested between towering cedar forests and frozen rivers where winter lasted longer than spring. Its students woke before sunrise, trained until their hands bled, meditated until their legs became numb. The masters believed weakness could not be spoken away. It had to be burned away. Haruto arrived there at the age of 11. Thin, quiet, angry. His father had died serving a local lord during a border conflict years earlier. His mother passed from illness the following winter. The boy entered Kurotake carrying two things: grief and rage. At first, the masters believed his anger would make him strong. Anger often creates discipline in young men. But years passed and Haruto's rage became poison. By 17, his swordsmanship was exceptional. His movements were sharp, explosive, precise, but inside, his mind was chaos. During sparring sessions, he constantly overthought every movement. What if I fail? What if everyone surpasses me? What if I dishonor my father? Fear disguised itself as ambition. The more he desired victory, the worse he performed. The senior students whispered among themselves, "Haruto is talented, but his spirit trembles. He fights shadows that do not exist." The worst part was this. They were right. At night, while the others slept peacefully after training, Haruto sat awake staring into darkness. His thoughts never stopped. He imagined future defeats, past embarrassments, mistakes not yet made. Even during meditation, his mind wandered endlessly. The old master of Kurotake watched all of this carefully. His name was Masanori Takeda, a man whose face carried more scars than expressions. No student knew how many battles he had survived. Some claimed he once defeated 6 ronin alone beside a frozen river. Others believed he had served directly under a powerful daimyo during the final years of civil war. But nobody asked, because Masanori rarely spoke about the past, and when he did speak, every student listened. One evening after combat training, Haruto remained alone in the courtyard practicing strikes against a wooden post, again, again, again. The sound echoed through the snowy dusk. His hands bled beneath the cold air. Still, he continued, faster, harder, more violent. Suddenly, enough. Haruto froze. Master Masanori stood behind him. The old samurai observed the damaged training post. "You strike like a man trying to silence ghosts." Haruto lowered his bakken. "I must become stronger." The master walked slowly across the courtyard. Strength without stillness is self-destruction. Haruto clenched his jaw. "With respect, master, stillness does not win battles." Masanori turned toward him. "No?" The old samurai stepped forward without warning. In a single movement, he grabbed Haruto's wrist, shifted his balance, and threw him violently into the snow. Before Haruto could react, the tip of a wooden sword rested against his throat. The entire exchange lasted less than a heartbeat. Haruto stared upward in shock. "You lost before your body moved," Masanori said calmly, "because your mind was already fighting imaginary battles." The old master removed the sword. Haruto rose slowly, ashamed. "You are fast," Masanori continued. "You are skilled, but your awareness is weak." The old samurai pointed toward the mountains beyond the dojo. "When wolves hunt deer during winter, they do not think about tomorrow's hunger. They focus only on the next step, only the present." Haruto remained silent. Masanori's gaze hardened. "You think too much about becoming strong, about becoming respected, about becoming worthy." The master stepped closer. "And because of that, you are never truly here." Those words struck deeper than any blade, because Haruto knew they were true. Chapter 2. The Weight of Thought. Several days later, the dojo prepared for an important event. Lord Hayakawa, a regional daimyo, would visit Kurotake to observe the students. This was rare. Powerful lords did not waste time on ordinary warriors. Any student who impressed the daimyo might earn recommendation into military service. The dojo became consumed with preparation. Floors were polished, weapons inspected, armor repaired. The students trained harder than ever, especially Haruto. He saw the visit as opportunity, a chance to prove himself, a chance to finally earn recognition. For 3 nights, he barely slept. His mind obsessed over the upcoming demonstrations. He imagined impressing the Lord, imagined becoming respected, imagined escaping the feeling of inadequacy that had followed him since childhood. The morning of the daimyo's arrival arrived beneath dark snowfall. Soldiers entered first, then servants, then Lord Hayakawa himself beneath a silk umbrella. The students bowed deeply as the daimyo crossed the courtyard. The demonstrations began immediately. Archery, mounted combat, sword forms. One by one, students performed before the Lord. Then, Haruto's name was called. He stepped forward, gripping his bakken tightly. Across from him stood Daichi, older, calmer, one of the dojo's finest students. The match began. At first, Haruto moved well, fast strikes, sharp footwork, but then a single thought entered his mind. "I must not fail." Everything changed instantly. His breathing shortened, his shoulders tightened. Daichi noticed immediately. A distracted opponent is already defeated. Haruto attacked aggressively, trying to overwhelm him, but his movements became reckless. His awareness narrowed. He stopped seeing clearly. Then, crack! Daiichi's bakken struck Haruto across the ribs. Pain exploded through his body. Before he recovered, another strike landed against his shoulder, then another. The match ended quickly. Humiliation burned through him hotter than fire. He had failed publicly, before the daimyo, before the dojo, before the master. Haruto bowed stiffly and stepped away, unable to lift his eyes from the ground. That evening, snow fell heavily across Kurotake. Most students slept, but Haruto sat alone beside the frozen river below the dojo. Anger consumed him, not toward Daichi, toward himself. "I trained harder than anyone," he whispered bitterly. "So why do I collapse when it matters?" "You collapse because your mind fears defeat more than it loves truth." Haruto turned sharply. Master Masanori stood behind him beneath the snowfall. The old samurai carried no lantern, yet somehow his presence alone felt heavier than the storm. Haruto lowered his head. "I disappointed the dojo." "No," Masanori replied. "You revealed yourself." The old master sat beside the river. For several moments, neither spoke. Only the sound of wind moved through the trees. Finally, Masanori broke the silence. "Do you know why men fear failure?" Haruto stared at the frozen water. "Because failure brings shame." "No." The master picked up a stone and dropped it onto the ice. Men fear failure because they build identity around victory. If they win, they believe they have value. If they lose, they believe they are nothing. The old samurai looked directly at Haruto. That is weakness. Haruto's fists tightened. Then what should I fight for? Masanori answered immediately. The moment itself. Haruto frowned. I do not understand. That's because your eyes remain trapped in outcomes. The old samurai pointed toward the dark forest. When an archer releases an arrow, the arrow already belongs to the wind. The warrior controls effort, never results. Snow gathered slowly across Masanori's shoulders. A mind attached to victory becomes fragile. A mind anchored in presence becomes unbreakable. Haruto listened carefully. For the first time, he realized his greatest enemy was not lack of skill. It was attachment to winning, to approval, to becoming someone important. Every fear inside him came from clinging to things beyond his control. The old master rose slowly. Tomorrow morning before sunrise, he said, meet me at the northern cliffs. Then he walked away into the snowstorm, leaving Haruto alone beside the frozen river, with a mind heavier than ever before. Chapter 3. The Cliff of Echoes. The mountain winds screamed violently across the northern cliffs before dawn. Haruto climbed carefully through thick snow, his straw sandals slipping against frozen stone. The air burned inside his lungs. When he finally reached the summit, Master Masanori already stood waiting near the edge, completely motionless. The old samurai wore only simple training robes despite the brutal cold. Haruto bowed deeply. You summoned me, Master. Masanori gestured toward the horizon. Watch. Far below, dark pine forests stretched endlessly beneath white snow. The sky slowly brightened with pale morning light. Then, Haruto noticed something. A hawk. It glided through the violent mountain winds without resistance. No panic, no wasted movement, only effortless adjustment. The bird moved with the storm instead of against it. Masanori finally spoke. That hawk survives because it does not fight the wind. The master turned toward Haruto. You fight your thoughts the same way drowning men fight water. Haruto remained silent. The old samurai stepped closer to the cliff edge. For the next 30 days, you will not touch a sword. Haruto's eyes widened slightly. Master, you heard correctly. But my training, your obsession with skill, is the very thing blinding you. Masanori pointed toward the valley below. Every warrior believes mastery comes from controlling the blade. The old samurai's expression darkened. But the true battle is controlling attention. Snow swirled violently around them. For 30 days you will train awareness. No combat, no sparring, no forms. Haruto struggled to hide his frustration. How will this make me stronger? Masanori looked at him calmly. It will show you why you are weak. The mountain wind howled across the northern cliffs. Haruto stood motionless before Master Masanori, while snow gathered upon his shoulders like pale ash. It will show you why you are weak. Those words remained trapped inside Haruto's mind long after sunrise faded behind the storm clouds. For 30 days, he would not touch a sword. No combat, no sparring, no training matches. To the other students, such punishment would have seemed unbearable. To Haruto, it felt almost humiliating. For years, the sword had been his identity. Without it, who was he? That question followed him back down the mountain like a shadow. Chapter 4. The Discipline of Emptiness. The next morning began before dawn. Haruto expected meditation. Instead, Master Masanori handed him 2 wooden buckets. Follow me. The old samurai led him through the sleeping forest toward a narrow river hidden beneath thick fog. The water rushed violently between frozen rocks. Masanori pointed toward the river. You will carry water back to the dojo. Haruto frowned slightly. That is all. For today. The young warrior lifted the buckets and began climbing back toward Kurotake. At first, he moved quickly, but the water splashed violently against the sides, soaking his clothing and freezing against his skin. By the time he reached the dojo, nearly half the water was gone. Masanori glanced at the buckets. Again. The second trip was no better, nor the third, nor the fourth. Hours passed beneath brutal winter winds. Haruto's shoulders burned, his hands became numb, his patience vanished. Finally, near sunset, frustration exploded inside him. "This training is meaningless," his voice echoed through the snowy forest. "I came here to become samurai, not a servant carrying water like a laborer." The mountains fell silent. Masanori slowly turned toward him. "Then you understand nothing." The old master approached carefully. "When your mind rejects simple tasks, it reveals arrogance." Haruto clenched his fists. "How does carrying water improve combat?" Masanori picked up one of the buckets. "Look inside." Haruto stared at the water. The surface trembled constantly from the movement. "When water shakes," the master said quietly, "it reflects nothing clearly." Then he looked directly into Haruto's eyes. "Your mind is the same." The old samurai placed the bucket down. "You seek strength while your thoughts tremble endlessly. You swing the sword while imagining victory. You meditate while imagining progress. You eat while thinking about tomorrow. You are never where your body is." Haruto lowered his gaze, because once again, the master spoke truth. Masanori pointed toward the forest path. "Carry the water again." Haruto exhaled slowly. This time he walked differently, slower, more carefully. He focused on each step against the snow, each breath entering his lungs, each movement of the water inside the bucket. And something strange happened. The water stopped spilling, not completely, but enough. For the first time that day, the surface became calm. Masanori watched silently, then nodded once. That evening, Haruto sat alone inside the meditation hall. No thoughts of becoming stronger, no dreams of victory, only breathing, only silence. Yet the silence itself became terrifying. Without distraction, his mind began revealing things he spent years trying to avoid. Memories, fear, loneliness, grief. He remembered his father's funeral beneath cold rain, his mother coughing weakly during winter nights, the shame of every defeat he carried secretly inside himself. His chest tightened painfully. For years, he believed discipline meant suppressing weakness, but now he understood something deeper. The mind becomes dangerous when pain remains unseen, and Haruto had spent his entire life running from his own suffering. Chapter 5. The Bamboo Trial. 7 days passed. Every morning, Haruto carried water, swept floors, prepared meals, sat in endless meditation. The other students whispered constantly, "Has the master abandoned him?" Perhaps Haruto failed some secret test. Maybe Masanori no longer believes in him. Haruto heard everything, but slowly. The words began losing power over him, because for the first time, he noticed how exhausting it was to constantly seek approval. One evening after meditation, Master Masanori led Haruto deep into the bamboo forest beyond Kurotake. Moonlight passed softly through the towering stalks. The forest moved like whispers beneath the wind. Masanori stopped beside a clearing. "Sit." Haruto obeyed. The old samurai pointed toward the bamboo surrounding them. "What do you see?" "The wind bends the bamboo." "And why does the bamboo survive storms that destroy mighty trees?" Haruto thought carefully. "Because it bends instead of resisting." Masanori nodded. "Strength without flexibility becomes brittle." The old master picked up a fallen branch. "Men believe discipline means becoming hard." Snap. He broke the branch instantly. "But true discipline means becoming adaptable." The old samurai pointed again toward the bamboo. "The bamboo survives because emptiness exists inside it." Haruto remained silent. The ego desires solidity, titles, recognition, control, but emptiness creates freedom. The wind moved softly through the forest. When insult arrives, empty men do not cling to pride. When fear arrives, empty men do not panic. When loss arrives, empty men do not collapse. The old samurai's gaze sharpened, because they understand a truth few warriors ever learn. "What truth, master?" Masanori answered quietly. "Everything passes." The bamboo swayed gently around them. Victory passes. Failure passes. Youth passes. Life passes. The old master stepped closer. Suffering begins when the mind tries to hold what cannot remain. Haruto felt something shift deep inside him. For years, he fought desperately against failure, against pain, against uncertainty, but perhaps the true path was not control. Perhaps it was acceptance. Chapter 6. The Night of Ashes. On the 20th night of Haruto's training, disaster came to Kurotake. The smell of smoke awakened the dojo before midnight. Students rushed outside in confusion. Flames consumed one of the storage buildings near the eastern wall. The fire spread violently beneath the winter wind. Buckets of water moved desperately between students. Commands echoed through the chaos. Haruto grabbed water alongside the others, his body reacting instantly. But then he saw something terrifying. A young student named Ren was trapped inside the burning structure. The roof had collapsed near the entrance. Smoke poured violently into the night sky. Several students panicked. No one can enter now. The beams are falling. Fear spread rapidly. Haruto felt it too. His heartbeat exploded. His breathing tightened. But suddenly, he remembered the river, the water, the bamboo, the hawk gliding through the storm. Presence. Only this moment. The fear remained, but it no longer controlled him. Without hesitation, Haruto wrapped cloth around his mouth and charged into the flames. Heat slammed into him instantly. The building groaned violently. Smoke burned his eyes. Somewhere inside, Ren cried out weakly. Haruto moved carefully through the collapsing structure. No panic, no thought beyond the next movement. A fallen beam blocked the hallway. He climbed over it. Another crash shook the building. Sparks exploded around him. Then finally, he saw Ren trapped beneath shattered wood. The boy's face was pale with terror. Haruto. "It's all right," Haruto said calmly. Together they forced the beam aside. Then Haruto carried the younger student through the inferno just moments before the roof collapsed entirely behind them. Outside, snow hissed against burning wood. The students stared in shock. Ren's body trembled violently. But Haruto stood completely still, breathing slowly beneath the snowfall. Master Masanori approached silently. For several moments, neither spoke. Then the old samurai finally said, "Tonight, you stopped fighting your mind." Haruto looked toward the burning building. The master continued, "In danger, weak men become servants of fear. But presence creates clarity." The old samurai's eyes narrowed slightly. "You did not become fearless tonight. You became aware." Those words settled deep within Haruto's spirit, because he finally understood. Courage was not the absence of fear. It was the refusal to abandon the present moment. Chapter 7. The Winter Duel. 10 days later, the snowstorms finally ended. The mountains stood silent beneath pale morning light. That dawn, Master Masanori summoned every student to the main courtyard. Whispers spread immediately. Formal gatherings at sunrise were rare. Haruto stepped into the courtyard wearing simple training robes. At the center stood Master Masanori beside another warrior. Tall, broad-shouldered, scar across his jaw, a ronin. The stranger carried 2 swords at his waist. The students exchanged nervous glances. Masanori addressed the dojo calmly. "This is Jiro Takamura." The ronin bowed slightly. "He once trained at Kurotake many years ago." Jiro's cold eyes moved across the students before settling on Haruto. The air itself felt heavy. Masanori continued, "Today, Haruto will face him." Shock spread instantly through the courtyard. Even Haruto's heartbeat skipped once. A real duel, not sparring, not training. The old master stepped toward him. "For 30 days you trained awareness instead of aggression. Now show me what you have learned." A wooden bakken was placed into Haruto's hands. Jiro slowly unsheathed steel. The sound alone sent chills through the courtyard. The duel began. Jiro attacked immediately, fast, far faster than any student Haruto had ever faced. Steel flashed through the cold air. Haruto barely avoided the first strike. The second came instantly after, then the third. The ronin fought like flowing water. No hesitation, no wasted movement. Old fear attempted to rise inside Haruto, but he returned to the breath, returned to presence. Only this moment. The world slowed. Snow drifting through the air. Footsteps against frozen ground. The sound of steel-cutting wind. Jiro attacked again. Haruto moved naturally. No overthinking, no desperation. Block, turn, counter. The courtyard fell silent. Even the senior students stared in disbelief. Haruto was no longer fighting emotionally. He moved with clarity, like the hawk inside the storm. The duel intensified. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, Jiro created an opening. A perfect strike opportunity. Old Haruto would have attacked recklessly, but presence revealed truth. Trap. Haruto did nothing. The Ronin's eyes widened slightly, understanding. For the first time, Jiro smiled. The duel continued briefly before... clack. Haruto's bakken stopped against Jiro's throat. Silence covered the courtyard. Snow drifted softly between them. Then, Jiro slowly lowered his sword. Well done. Haruto stepped back, breathing steadily. No celebration, no pride, only calm awareness. Master Masanori approached slowly. The old samurai studied him carefully. Then, finally, he bowed, not as master to student, but as warrior to warrior. The entire courtyard froze in shock. Masanori Takeda never bowed first, never. Yet now, beneath the falling snow, he lowered his head to Haruto. "You finally understand," the old master said quietly. "The sword was never the true weapon." Haruto's breathing slowed gently. The mind was. And near the end of winter, as the mountains stood silent around Kurotake Dojo, Haruto realized something that would remain with him for the rest of his life. Peace was not found after the storm. Peace was found inside it. If this story awakened something inside you, then leave a comment saying Zanshin. Like the video, subscribe to join the path of discipline and presence, and remember, the warrior who conquers others may be powerful, but the warrior who conquers his own mind becomes unstoppable.